Hello, educators, literacy leaders, and lifelong learners. Welcome to this explainer. Today we're looking at a genuinely crucial letter in the science of reading alphabet, and that is I. I is for interventions. Now, we hear this word literally all the time in our schools, right? But today, we're going to completely challenge the traditional definition of the word. We're stepping way beyond just looking at a master calendar, and we're going to get right to the heart of what it actually means to support a student.
Okay, let's dive into this. As Dr. LaKeacha Jett so beautifully points out in our source text, intervention is deeply personal. It's not just a magical 30-minute block you schedule on a Tuesday afternoon. It's what happens when we as educators look super closely at exactly what a student needs and then make highly intentional instructional decisions to move them forward. It's a completely active, responsive mindset.
Section 1. Redefining reading interventions. Moving beyond the schedule. To really redefine reading interventions, we've got to look at our actual practice. Dr. Jett navigated a bunch of different models, from push-in co-teaching right inside the general ed classroom to leading highly concentrated instruction in a self-contained setting. And both of these revealed a universal truth about struggling readers. Giving students working below grade level a pat on the back and some extra encouragement is great, but it's not enough. And they absolutely don't just need more work. They need the right work. They need explicit instruction designed specifically to close their unique gaps. We literally have to know exactly where the gap is, what caused it in the first place, and what specific instruction is going to bridge it.
And this brilliantly illustrates our next point. Section 2, the doctor analogy, diagnosing the instructional need. Figuring out that right work requires solid assessment and data. It's actually a lot like being a medical professional. Think about it for a second. A doctor doesn't just stroll into a waiting room and hand out the exact same prescription to every single patient, do they? No way. They study the symptoms, run some tests, and then create a highly targeted treatment plan. As educators, our approach is honestly identical. We look at the data, we listen carefully as a student reads, and we look for patterns. Like, is the struggle with phonemic awareness? Is it letter-sound correspondence? Are they reading word by word with zero fluency? Once we diagnose that specific literacy gap, then we can design the targeted instruction.
But listen, simply knowing the gap is really only half the battle. Just putting a kid in a small group or buying a fancy new curriculum program, that's not going to do the heavy lifting all by itself. Interventions only work if the teacher intentionally works the intervention. We have to actively plan, teach, monitor, adjust, and respond. It requires real urgency and a profound belief that needing support just means we've identified a spot for growth, and we are going to tackle it together.
Section 3, acceleration is intervention too. Now, I want to completely shift our focus for a second. When we hear responsive instruction, our minds almost automatically jump to remediation, right? But it's actually a two-way street. The author of our source text shares this really deeply personal story about her youngest son. Because his birthday fell just after the September cutoff, he actually had to repeat kindergarten. But here's the catch. He wasn't behind at all. He'd been at the top of his previous class and was totally ready for more. Thankfully, his teachers caught this. They didn't make him sit through work he'd already mastered. Instead, they leveled up his assignments and let him collaborate with first-grade students.
Now, what's really interesting about this is how it totally reframes our whole concept of intervention. Advanced learners absolutely need responsive instruction too. If we only ever view intervention as a tool for struggling readers, we're missing out on massive opportunities to support all of our learners. Because sometimes an intervention is exactly what you need to stretch a student's thinking, provide enrichment, and keep them fully engaged.
Section 4. Daily classroom connections. Responsive teaching in action.
So what does this actually look like for you on, say, a busy Tuesday morning? Well, it means intervention is happening everywhere. Whole group, small group, one-on-one conferences, you name it. The core principles of the science of reading absolutely demand that our instruction is explicit, systematic, cumulative, and targeted. So if we see students confused, we pull a small group to reteach. If they're struggling with decoding, we explicitly teach decoding. We model the strategies again, we provide different texts, and for those who are ready, we extend the learning with more complex challenges. It's just this constant dynamic response to what we're observing in real time.
Let's move to the next idea and see how this all builds. When we intervene with true precision, we create real movement. We get to watch a student move from total confusion to brilliant clarity. We guide them as they stop just guessing at words and start actively decoding them. We literally get to witness the shift as they move from that choppy, word-by-word reading into smooth fluency. And ultimately, we help them move from silence into total, independent confidence. It's pretty amazing.
Let's just pause our pacing right here. Take a quiet beat. I want you to think about the students who will be sitting in your classroom tomorrow. Think about your daily practices, how you look at their data, and how you group them. How does this redefinition of intervention apply to your own instructional decisions?
I really encourage you to hold on to one specific way you can shift your mindset today. Think about how you can move away from viewing intervention as just a place on the master schedule and start seeing it as a continuous daily support system for every single learner in your room.
Section 5. The promise we make, a commitment to our learners.
So the crucial point here is that at the end of the day, this mindset shift brings us to the ultimate purpose of this explainer, and really the true heart of literacy instruction. Effective intervention requires a real commitment from us. It's a promise that we'll pay close attention, a promise that we're going to use data wisely and act like diagnosticians, a promise to teach with explicit precision. But most importantly, it's a promise that we will absolutely never let a student sit and struggle without support, and that we will meet every single learner, whether they need a bit of remediation or full-on acceleration, exactly where they are. Intervention is not a place where students go. It is a promise we make. I want you to take that promise with you into your classroom. Let it guide your data, your groups, and your instruction. So I'll leave you with this one question to chew on. If intervention is a promise, what is the very first promise you are going to make to your learners tomorrow morning? Thank you so much for learning with me today.